whether you are a casual fan or are you a sports media like we are that live this stuff, there's a general feeling that the NBA is sort of closing the gap on the NFL. But before we break into exactly why, let's just establish where things are as they stand. Because the NFL is far and away the 600-pound gorilla in sports media. In 2015, there was a Harris poll, and they asked people, about 1,500 people, this is a big sample size, what their favorite sport was. 33% said football. Only 5% said basketball. And then what do we always do in this show? We follow the money, right? And when you follow the money, you look at the totality, the approximate totality of how much money is generated by each sport. The NFL generates 13 or 14 billion, and the NBA generates 5 billion. So you've got many more people saying that football is their favorite sport, about 6 times as many, and then they're generating about 3 times as many dollars as the NBA is generating. Yet there's this feeling that we both feel, and that most even just casual sports fans feel, that the NBA is closing that gap and becoming the most popular sport in America. Why do we feel that way?
I'm going to shoot down the 2 theories that you said initially for those that feel like the NFL still has a distinct edge on the NBA. The first thing you said, 1,500 people were polled. That's not a true sample size.
I understand statistics, also, and it is, but continue.
Also, you asked what is their favorite sport. Guess what? My favorite sport is football.
Exactly.
But when you ask parents, what do they want their kids to participate in?
I'm not letting my child play football.
Okay, so that shoots that one down. The other thing, 13 billion versus 5 billion generated. Your favorite NBA arena probably hosts 25,000 people. Your favorite football stadium hosts 75,000 people.
Jalen, they play a lot more games in the NBA.
Correct. I'm just saying. So here's where I really want to go, though. When you look at the dynamics of the NFL and the NBA, the NFL is a gas-guzzling truck, and the NBA is a sports car.
Okay, explain.
When you say follow the money, first we're going to go to the Forbes list. Okay? For 2 leagues, both red, white, and blue on their logos, baseball in there too. But one of them is of a former player, Jerry West, promoting the athlete that's wearing a tank top and shorts. The other is of a shield that just so happens to mask an U.S. flag? Oh, that's currently being protested by their players. Okay, got it. So let's go to the Forbes list. Of the top 50, there are 17 NBA players. It's only 7 NFL players. 4 NBA players in the top 10. The current Madden game, I was just watching the commercial. I love Madden. Don't you love Madden?
I used to play, but I don't play anymore.
Okay. Do you know who's on the commercial? 2 basketball players. Harden and CP3. No NFL players were available? Anyway, next point. As we talk about endorsements, 15 NBA players in the top 50. 15. 6 NFL players.
And I think that speaks to the Madden thing. It's like, if you want to sell something, you go to NBA players. That's it. It's like, if you want to sell something, they're now using NBA players to sell NFL products because of what you just said, is they have a proven track record of selling things.
Of the top endorsers in sports, there are 0 NFL players in the top 10. I know you see Odell and Gronk and Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers on commercials, Richard Sherman. Guess what? Those only ones.
And they play on Sundays too.
And some of them probably are league sponsored. Lastly, when you talk about the popularity of the individual, it plays out no further than social media, where the NBA's done a really good job of driving its content.
Yep.
Even allows you to use its footage in replays. You can't even do that in the NFL.
I mean, that's a huge thing to me, is I feel that the NBA they're saying, you know what? We can't stop time. And our fan base is going to get older over time, so we need to invest in the younger fan base. They've done a much better job at promoting their sport digitally, internationally, to a young millennial audience. I think that's key.
And so engagement on social media and this era is truly what has allowed the NBA to ascend past football as it relates to popularity amongst the people, not just amongst the dollar. So let's go to social media. Of the top 50 athletes, 8 of them are NBA players. Guess how many are NFL players? 0.
Of the top 50 athletes
0.
on social media, there's 0 NFL players.
Correct.
I think it also gets back to the point you made about the 2 logos. Is the NBA actively promotes their players and they create stars. Where if you look at the headlines going into the NBA season, we're talking about Kyrie Irving, we're talking about LeBron James, we're joking about Dwayne Wade, and we're doing these things. If you look at the headlines going into the NFL season,
Ezekiel Elliott, concussions.
that's what it is. It's player safety and it's court cases and going back and forth with arbitration.
We talked about this with Richard Sherman on our show during the ESPYs. And I encouraged he and NFL players to take the power back by striking right now. Don't wait 4 or 5 years. Half of the players won't be in the game then that are in right now. If they decided on Sunday that, you know what? I don't care about your fantasy team. I love my job in football, but we're just going to take this week off so we can get everybody back to the table.
That $13 billion that the NFL generates would start draining very quickly.
And you don't have to you don't have to do it every week. Imagine if they just did it one time. The kind of message that would send. Non-guaranteed contracts in arguably the most physical sport. We don't even care if they use PEDs because we wouldn't play. We wouldn't run into and get hit as hard as they're getting hit.
In the last 3 years, there have been 23 $100 million guaranteed contracts signed in the NBA. 23 $100 million contracts in the last 3 years. Guess how many in the NFL?
1, Andrew Luck. Maybe 2, Joe Flacco.
Guaranteed. 0.
0.
Absolutely 0. It's Matt Stafford with $92 million, and then you get Andrew Luck at 87, and then Derek Carr and Von Miller at 70.